Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, and I know you are too, because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Manifesting Magic, the practical way, because we do live in a very pragmatic world, so we have to take on some of those qualities to kind of make the space and the room for the magic that we want to see in our lives, right? So today, what I want to talk about is um, the idea that I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and this will be short. I always say this will be short, but um, and they were going on about some change they were about to make in their lives, and they were like, "Well, you know what people say? They do this," and I was like, "Oh man, you know the last time I dealt with what people say, a very long time." And I was listening. I was like, "Who cares what people say? People always have something to say, and soon enough, we'll all be gone. It won't matter anyway." It's like you have to keep in mind big time that if someone isn't living the life that you would choose for yourself, if they don't have the qualities and the characteristics that you want to evolve into and grow into, then what are you worrying about what they say for? Because someone who's a true mentor, someone who truly wants to see you grow, someone who truly has your best interest at hand, they're always going to be looking for the positives. They're always going to be looking for the great parts of you and the evolution of you. And even when that evolution of you doesn't mean it's convenient for them, you know? And they were like, and people always say I do this and I do that. And the thing about it is, what she was saying, they say she do. I don't even, I don't even have any recollection of anybody ever saying that about her, to be honest with you. And the thing about it is, you have to remember that sometimes we're living in our heads, right? Sometimes one person says something about us, and we run around and think it's the group, and the group is not even talking about you. It's just that one person. It's just that one person. And you have to look deep into their lives. And this is not a rude or disrespectful thing. This is like unfolding, pulling back the layers and trying to understand if they have the qualities and the mindset and the outcomes that you are seeking in your life. If they have that, then they're not going to be saying anything negative about your decisions and choices anyway, to that degree. They're going to be like, you know what, you're evolving, you're trying to figure this out. This is how that's working. They have a real clear understanding that your evolution and your expansion is not a negative thing for them, you know? I find that that's very hard for people to remember. So they do shoo and talk about people when they make different decisions, because they think that other people's decisions and their life choices is somehow a rejection of them if it's not the same choice that they would have made, right? And that's just not the case. People are their own individuals, and you can only have so much in common with other people until you have to start seeing clearly, we are different here, we're different there. So if they're telling me something is like, oh no, I wouldn't invest in the stock market. Oh no, I wouldn't go on that trip. Oh, oh no, I wouldn't marry that man. These sort of things, we have to keep in mind that, do they have the life that we want in that area? Do they have the romantic life that we want? Do they have the marriage we want? Because those people that don't have that kind of stuff talk about it a lot, right? You know, do they have the career, and do they do their career in a way that we want to do our career? It's like, what is it that you're focusing on and that you are trying to eliminate or bring into your life that you're thinking somebody else has something to say about? And I remember, I don't know, I've been in several groups and around in several environments where they call it the peanut gallery. I think it's from that show, with Charlie Brown, the Peanuts, and it was always the people in the background talking about what Charlie Brown was doing and what was happening. I could be really wrong about that, but I think that's where that reference comes from. Nonetheless, it's like there's always a group of people. There's always somebody saying, "Ooh, got an alarm." There's always somebody saying something about something that you're doing that's not what they would have done. And that's a good thing. We can't have a world where everybody would make the same decisions in every situation. That would be boring. It wouldn't be interesting. I think that when we come across people and there are big differences, we should dive into them, especially if those differences make us uncomfortable or make us feel insecure or make us feel negative. If like we're going to be around those people, we need to dig into and say, why does this affect me this way? Why do I feel negative towards this? And you may find yourself in an ugly truth, but having negative things to say about somebody else's life choices and how they see the world, that doesn't create the outcomes that you're looking for. It just doesn't. And worrying about what people are saying on the other end of that, worrying about what people are saying who don't affect your life, who aren't people that you have to impress or do a job for. You're not contracted with them. You don't have a job with them. They're not your kids. They're not your significant other. Like taking those comments into consideration. And I say, even when they are those people, if they're not living that life that you would choose for yourself, or if they're not creating something that you would choose for yourself, then it's okay to not take their advice in that area. I always say you take what's important and you take the advice that resonates with you and you leave the rest behind. And I don't mean like you leave the rest behind when something somebody says bothers you or angers you. You have the right to do that. But when somebody says something that bothers or angers me about some choice they're making in their lives, I really do some deep introspection. I'm like, why does that affect me? Why do I care? Why does it bother me? And sometimes it's a really petty reason. And once I have it in my head and I say it out loud, then a lot of times it disperses. I was like, oh, I guess it wasn't that important anyway. I was holding on to it, but it really just wasn't that important. So a lot of times just understanding that people are not always going to care about what you're doing. They're not always going to care about what you like. They're not always going to understand your decisions, and that's perfectly okay. And if they are not living in a lifestyle that you would choose for yourself, it's a good reason to go, oh yeah, I hear you. That makes sense. But then go take the information, study people who are living the life that you want. That's a big one. Find people, find mentors, get online, get on YouTube, find people that are living the lifestyle or making decisions in a way that you see your life could be able to evolve in the way that you choose, and then listen to those people, right? I always say outcomes, results. It sounds so rude to other people because I grew up in a place where just because you were older, the tradition was you had all the information to share. But the wisdom stops at some point because you're a continuation of the people you come from. Their wisdom picked up where their parents left off. But somehow when people get into that position, they forget that their wisdom is going to drop off because your children were brought up in a different world. And what worked for you when you were growing up no longer worked for me. That's why I could never be a racist person or anything growing up or worry about people of other ethnicities in any negative way. I never had it in me. I always just saw people. And it wasn't like I don't see color. I see very clear differences in people as far as culture, races, and ethnicities. I've taught classes on this so many times. And I was always a good instructor for it because I'm not about to sit here and be a victim and bemoan coming into the world as a brown person. I just never saw it that way. But I had so much influence from people before me that would be like, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. None of that stuff has been my experience. And even when I have ran into nonsense people, it was nonsense with everybody. I could have took it as like they're doing it because I'm black. That wasn't it. They were just kind of buttholes. And they just were not good people for a lot of people. So nonetheless, and I always had to teeter on minimizing what people's traumas were. But I'm saying all that to say, sometimes the people that have the most to say are the ones whose wisdom has become obsolete on your journey. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. They should be happy that their wisdom has become obsolete because that means you're moving in the right direction. And that means that now they can cleave something from you. And that's perfectly fine, right? Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And keep on manifesting that magic, right? Keep on seeing where practicality works and seeing where it doesn't. Because you can't go applying practicality everywhere. That's not magic. That's just a tight, rigid life where you're not even really creating anything because it's all planned out for the next year. Every little piece and puzzle of it, right? You don't want to do that. You want to get the tools, a few tools, add them to your tool set so that you're not living like a vagabond, right? Because I've been around a lot of people who have bohemian lifestyles, and while it might work for them, I was like, I need a little more stability than that. If you need more stability than that, then add some of those practicalities to your space. It won't kill your energy. It won't kill your spirit. It'll develop you and increase you even more. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.